Good evening, everyone, and welcome. This is March 19th, the Board of Selectmen's meeting. Remember, we're being recorded live by Raycam, and if you'd all please stand and pledge allegiance to the flag of our country. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Have you had an opportunity to read the minutes?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion, Madam Chairman, to approve as printed the minutes of the March 12th Board of Selectmen's meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Minutes are accepted. Let's see, there's no department heads here this evening. We do have one appointment, and that is to appoint Maggie Silva to the Historical Commission for 3 years.
I'd like to make the motion to appoint Maggie Silva to the Historical Commission.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. I'm gonna put that there so I can sign that. We have no public hearings. Citizen and community input. Does anyone have anything they wish to bring up? Yes, sir. Please state your name and who are you and what do you want?
My name is John Grace. Need my address? Need my address, just my name.
Yeah, just to help.
55 Jess Marie Road, Raynham, Massachusetts. I wanted to come to have an opportunity to discuss in person with you all. I submitted a petition to add a warrant to the town meeting coming in May in regards to bylaws to prevent people from erecting, maintaining, and annoyance fences, debris, and objects. I've worked with the police and building inspector of this town for about 8 months with issue with my neighbor. And to my surprise, there's no regulations or laws or bylaws in this town to address that. There's one fence law in this town that can't be higher than 7 feet, and that's not being enforced, in my opinion. So I think we need this bylaw to empower the police and town officials and let them decide what is an annoyance and what is not. And I just wanted to have any questions or to discuss that with me. I submitted my petition Monday.
It was in, it's
And
on.
it was in there, yeah, I know. I didn't bring it in with me here because I didn't think we would discuss that, tonight.
I don't have any questions. Typically, what
Okay.
we do, Mr. Grace, is I think in 2 weeks it's going to be, in either next week or 2 weeks, it's going to be on the agenda to close the warrant and accept articles. And so I can't speak for my two colleagues, but as long as you had the signature certified and you meet the criteria for it, then I would support putting it on the warrant. I always support putting citizen petitions on the warrant. So as long as that's been satisfied, I'm not going to be objecting to it. And I would reserve any comments or questions personally for town meeting.
I agree.
Right.
I submitted to Mrs. Dewey
Yes.
my petition with 29 signatures, and my understanding is she would have those endorsed, or the town has them
Yes.
endorsed?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes,
great, thank you.
right.
That's all I have.
We do have it. I just didn't bring it in here with us. It's in the other room.
Yep.
And I believe everything's been certified with that, and everything was okay.
Great.
So as Mr. Pacheco says, generally speaking, as long as everything is okay, it
Yep.
would be on the warrant.
I also submitted a letter to the board. I'd like to discuss with them this whole issue, because it's been ongoing 8 months, and the town and the police cannot help me because there's not enough power for them to do so. I think this town needs some power. Something needs to be done before it gets to be a town-wide problem, if you will.
Okay.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much for coming in, sir. Okay. New business. We have the Bridgewater Raynham Regional School District proposed school budget.
Yeah, Madam Chairman, I asked that this be put on the agenda just so that we could discuss it a little bit, and I know my colleagues didn't have the opportunity to attend the budget hearing last week, so I did make a copy. It's black and white, I apologize, it's not in color, but so that you could have that. I did have the opportunity to go, was very glad to see that there was a lot of interest. It was a full house in the lecture room at the high school, and very concerned about the proposed budget, as you can take a look, because of Bridgewater's commitment to a 3.4% assessment increase. It requires Raynham's assessment to increase by 3.29%, and that will result in a budget deficit of almost $4 million from the superintendent's original proposal. And the way I always looked at it, the superintendent's proposal is really what he thinks we should have. The school committee's budget is what we really need to have, but in this case, they already made the cuts to meet what they were told the communities could meet. And if you look at it, it's very concerning. Originally, I think there was a proposal when the superintendent asked across the district, what do we need, to really have the educational program that we should have, and there's about 45 positions, I think, that were recommended, and he reduced it to the 18 that he really thought was, would be important, and none of them are now included. I have a list of what they are, the ones that were removed, that he really felt are needed. At the Mitchell Elementary School, there's one grade 2 position, one grade 3 position. At the Merrill here in Raynham, one grade 1 position, and also an adjustment counselor that would be shared between Merrill and La Liberty. At the Williams Intermediate School in Bridgewater, it's one counselor position, 1.5 counselor's position. One of those would be an educational support professional and applied behavior analyst. At the Bridgewater Middle School, 2 grade 7 teachers. At Raynham Middle School, 1 grade 7 teacher. At the high school, 4 positions are not being funded: a business teacher, a history teacher, a music teacher, and an art teacher. And district-wide, there's another 5 positions: a curriculum coach, a technology technician, 2 health teachers for wellness, and 1 school psychologist. I think one area that the school committee and this administration has really zeroed in on is the social emotional issues that our kids are dealing with. It's amazing, the calls to 911, the times when they need to bring in some help for our students. And it's not even just at the high school level, it's middle school level, it's the elementary level, it's even at Merrill, believe it or not, with our kindergarten and grade 1 students, that they're dealing with so many issues of behavior and emotional issues. And this budget, as proposed at this point, would include nothing additional to address those, and nothing to address the class sizes, which are increasing. We both know how there's the building going on in both of our communities. Also, 0 amount of funds for textbooks and supplies.
How is that possible?
It's not a great educational program, that's for sure.
I mean, how can you have 0 in a budget for textbooks?
I think the feeling was if there's any savings at all this year, sometimes at the end of the year, there's some funds that are
Well,
saved.
then they might put it back?
Possibly, some.
But there's no
obviously-
guarantee they're going to put it
No,
back on anywhere.
Absolutely not. And it still comes down to a $400,000 shortfall, which would be covered by digging into their revolving accounts, their excess and deficiency funds, their emergency funds, which are really needed because you never know what might come up. And the school, as we know, the school committee can't come back to the towns and say, we need more money.
No.
Once they get the budget, that's it. But it's really disturbing if you look at the class sizes that exist right now. At the Merrill, I'll just deal with Raynham, we have kindergarten classes of 26, 27, 25, 26, 27 students in a classroom, and that's without, unless there are special needs students in there, it's without an educational assistant. Grade 1 classes are 27, 25, 23, 28, 26, and what's really disturbing is that right now there are 7 kindergarten classes that are going to have to be somehow fit into 6 first-grade classes next year. And the reason for that is there was a first-grade teacher that retired last year, and that position was not filled because, again, what the school committee was asking for last year was not met. So the assessments couldn't cover that.
We worked very hard to get those class sizes down, and I can see what's happening here. They're just starting to mount again.
Right, and then even at the middle school, grade 7 is another situation where you have right now 7 sixth grade classes that are going to have to be packed into 6 seventh grade class. 7 sixth grade classes now that are going to have to be packed into
Incorporated in,
7, one less next year in grade 7. So it accumulates year after year, and for many years now, the assessments haven't been meeting what the school committee says we really need. And then you can see they're digging into their E&D by $1 million at that point. So it's very concerning. I was encouraged because I this Finance Committee was not able to attend, and they'd asked me if I would say a few words. They're frustrated and actually thinking of the possibility of maybe gifting some money to the district as a last resort, obviously, if the assessments can't cover those 3 positions. I was encouraged because after I said a few words, Mr. Dennis Gallagher, a council member, did get up and speak and said that their budget is not finalized. They're still looking to see if they can come up with more funds, and hopefully they can do that so that those 3 really critical positions for Raynham, the adjustment counselor between Merrill and La Liberty, the 1st grade teacher and the 7th grade teacher, will be able to be included in the assessment. So I know tomorrow night at 6:30, it's an open meeting, a budget subcommittee meeting, and they'll be meeting with the Finance Committee from Bridgewater and Raynham. And hopefully, I know budgets are tight and both communities have, serious issues to deal with, as always, but as I tried to say, our education of our kids is so very important, and we don't get a second chance to do it, and particularly at those younger grade levels. As I mentioned years ago, probably before Joe was alive, school committees used to have fiscal autonomy.
You're dating yourself.
Because some very wise people realized how important
Right.
our school budgets are, and it's the school professionals should determine what the budget should be. That went by the wayside with Proposition 2.5 way back in 1981, Joe. And
When were you born,
and
Joe?
since then, I mean, it's a good thing that, the school committees have to be responsible and make sure their budget is as tight as can be, but I think they've been squeezing that budget for several years now, and I think it's time that, we really need to step up
Well, I
and
think,
try
I
to
think
fund
to tell them
the
that
budget.
it's time for the 2 towns to come together and
Yes.
say, this is it. What do we need most? We need education for our children and start paying up what they should. I'm
I can
sorry,
remember
but
several
Bridgewater
years
has
ago-
historically not.
I remember several years ago, someone said, if you think educating a student is expensive, you know how much it costs for incarceration? I mean.
I can imagine.
It's more. And actually, somebody pointed out at the meeting that if you consider the per pupil cost across the Commonwealth of the 350 districts, Bridgewater Raynham is woefully toward the bottom of that list. So it's not that we spend an undue amount on our education.
Right, right. Thank you very much for bringing that all back. And the next meeting they have is tomorrow night, you say?
Is it 6:30?
6:30, yes.
6:30.
7,
I think they changed it to 6:30, Dr. Premanowski,
high school.
in the lecture hall.
Well, hopefully between the Finance Committee and everyone else, it can come to some conclusion and get it straightened. Okay. Do we have any old business?
None, Madam Chair.
Town Administrator may, I'm sorry, Pat, I didn't
No, I
ask you.
have no-
I'm sorry, I apologize. Town Administrator's report, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ongoing projects in town, the South School, the basement is being renovated by RMC and should be done fairly soon. The invitation for bids for the Council on Aging, well, I guess I need to change that to the Public
I
Safety
think
Building
so, yeah.
Project. I'm sorry, the Council on Aging project. The Council on Aging siding project has been published, and we should have bids back and ready to start by May. Bids should be back beginning of April, first week in April. Gilmore Hall painting, the upstairs should be done by now. And the budgets for fiscal year 2020 are coming to a close. They've all been examined by FinCom, and we're having a good meeting of the minds. Just a reminder, annual town meeting is set for May 20th. All articles for the warrant are due no later than March 30th. And a reminder, I believe there's one opening left on the Historical Commission
Yes, to replace me.
Hmm?
To replace me,
to
yes.
replace you. Next Selectmen's meeting will be a week from tonight. That is not the 19th, it is the 26th. The next Sursage meeting is March 20th in Mansfield. Next Southeastern Mass Health Group meeting is March 18th, the 28th at 1 p.m. Next department head meeting is this Thursday at 9:30. And I'll be attending the contract administration class sponsored by MCPPO program in North Attleboro with Ed Buckley on April 2nd.
Any questions for David?
Just one, if we could, Mr. Flaherty, just clarify on the website that even though the bylaw says March 30th is a Saturday, so people should plan on the 29th.
Oh, I'm coming in on Saturday. No, okay, I'll do that, yeah.
That way people know what the expectation is, that they have to be in, and we close at noon on Friday, so.
Yep.
And that's all I have, Madam Chair.
Yeah, it only says the 30th because of
Yeah.
the way the bylaw is
Yeah.
written. so.
Right.
I
Patricia?
have just one thing. It just occurred to me, if it would be all right with Mr. Flaherty and the board, if I could say a few words at the department head meeting relative to the government study committee. I mean, we've tried to be inclusive we did the town survey and asked everybody to get involved in that. And I know the government study committee has certain committees or certain departments that they want to hear from, but I just want to make sure that the word is out there that if anybody wants to go before the government study committee and present any concerns or ideas or whatever, that that opportunity exists.
Sure,
So if
no
that would be
problem.
okay with
Yeah.
Mr. Flaherty.
I have no issue.
Thank you.
Okay. Selectmen's report.
None tonight, Madam Chair.
Oh, well, I just want to say thank everybody who supported Rave's Comedy Night fundraiser Saturday night at the American Legion. It was a huge success. We had a standing room only crowd. Sold over, I think, over 160 tickets. We had so many sponsors and people that sponsored the event and people that donated gift items, raffle items, people that brought food. It was CPF Productions. The comedians were very funny and everybody really had a great time. And from a fundraising perspective, it was extremely successful. I believe we made about $9,000, which is the most Rave has ever made on any
Wow.
event.
That's
And of course,
great.
that
Wonderful.
all of those funds
Wonderful.
are to support our Salute to Veterans, which is our assemblies, Veterans Day assemblies in the school, the Memorial Day Parade, and our flag projects. So do not be surprised if you see a few more flags going up on
I'm sure
our
Sandy's out there
patriotic
now
holidays.
calculating
she's
how
already
many she
making
can
phone
get.
calls, believe me.
Yeah, how many she can get.
But thanks especially to Becky George, our Rave volunteer coordinator, and our Salute to Veterans Chairman Sandy Leahy and her committee. They did an outstanding job.
Great job by everyone. Okay, what we have tonight is the request for a 2-day alcohol special license with outside entertainment, and that is at the Raynham Park, Saturday, July 20th and Sunday, July 21. And let's see, it's like a block party, I guess, featuring over 40 acts, including Major Lazer, who was that? Do you know that?
I don't, I'm sorry.
No friends of yours?
No.
Diplo Miguel, Billy Eilish, Dylan Francis, and many more of today's hottest pop, hip-hop, and dance acts. Well, that's why I don't know any one of them, because I go back to, well, I won't even say who I go back to. Anyway, they are going to have overnight lighting and video programming, sound checks and rehearsals to play. Oh, you don't need to know about that. But the date is July 20th and July 21 at the dog track, and it is a festival, and they would like a 2-day license.
Do we need to refer it to the police?
I am sure the police have
first?
been
They've already been
informed,
notified?
and I'm sure they will have details there.
Okay. Then if that's the case, then I would make a motion to approve.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. I don't think I have any other tag days. No. I have a letter. I don't know how you feel about this, but you can let me know once I read it. Carol from the North Taunton Food Pantry came in today to ask if the food pantry volunteers could bring cardboard boxes to be recycled to the Raynham Transfer Station on the second and fourth Saturdays of each month. Taunton does not accept recyclables on Saturday afternoons, which is why they approached us. We are currently receiving payment for cardboard from BFI. Well, doesn't need to do that. Any problem with that?
No motion to approve?
Second.
Inform Ed Buckley that that's okay with us, okay? Press time, do we have any press here this evening? No press? Any emergency business?
None, Madam Chair.
I have none.
I'll accept adjournment.
motion to adjourn to sign the bills with no administrative duties, with no business to be conducted after.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Thank you all for
We are
coming.
adjourned.
Sorry.